This is Adam Gontier, the voice of heartbreak, rage, and everything that made 3 Days Grace matter. But one day he walked away, and fans thought they'd never hear that voice again. The band moved on, even found a new vocalist. They kept releasing chart-topping music, but for many fans, the true heart of the band was gone forever. In reality, their journey wasn't over, and what they eventually pulled off took everyone by surprise. This is the story of the rise, fall, and rebirth of 3 Days Grace. Before they were 3 Days Grace, they were Groundswell. Just 5 high school friends from Norwood, Ontario, a small town where escape came in the form of music. Formed in 1992, Groundswell included Adam Gontier, Neil Sanderson, Brad Walst, Phil Crow, and Joe Grant. The former 3 would go on to be recognized by millions, but back then they were just teenagers trying to figure out who they were. They cut their teeth in local bars and small town halls, even self-releasing an indie record in 1995. But by 1997, the band had split. Still, the core stuck together. That same year, the trio reformed under the name 3 Days Grace, a name that came from a question they often asked themselves. If you had 3 days to change your life, could you do it?
Well, actually, to be honest, I heard it in business class or something in school. I heard the 3 Days Grace period, is the period to pay back your debt. You have 3 days to pay your debt or else, whatever that means. But it also, it does have that sense of urgency of, oh shit, I better figure this out, so.
The question became a mission. They moved to Toronto, started recording demos, and hustled like a band with something to prove. That hustle paid off when their demo caught the attention of producer Gavin Brown, who helped them refine their sound. With his help, they secured a deal with Jive Records and released their self-titled debut in 2003. The album was a breakout hit, powered by the lead single, I Hate Everything About You. Adam's raw vocals, equal parts fury and vulnerability, cut through the alt-rock haze and connected instantly with a generation. It climbed the charts, hit heavy rotation on MTV and rock radio, and introduced the world to Adam Gontier's searing vocals. But underneath the surface-level success, something darker was growing. As stadiums grew, so did the pressure. Adam found himself on a relentless tour cycle. Sold-out shows, late-night parties, and the temptation of substances all around him. Friends and family watched as the voice of a million disaffected fans began to drown in real-life pain. By 2005, interventions led Adam into rehab. Away from the stage, he finally confronted his addiction. It wasn't an easy road. Relapse scares, therapy sessions, and soul-searching filled that year. But amid the struggle, he started writing lyrics that were brutally honest, not just about heartbreak, but about surviving it. And out of that rehab room came the band's 2006 album 1X. What emerged wasn't just music, it was a reflection of everything Adam had been through, laid bare across the track list. Animal I Had Become was pure self-loathing. Pain was a lifeline. Never Too Late was a spark of hope in the dark. The album itself shot to number 2 on the Billboard 200 and spawned multiple number 1 rock singles. 3 Days Grace had found their sound and their audience, but with every lyric that connected to millions, the weight on Adam's shoulders grew heavier. His pain gave the band its voice, but that voice was coming from a man slowly falling apart. In January of 2013, fans woke up to the unthinkable. Adam Gontier, the voice, the pain, the fire behind 3 Days Grace, was gone. The official statement was vague, a lack of passion and a desire to move in a new direction. But for fans who had grown up screaming his lyrics in bedrooms and parking lots, it felt like losing a piece of themselves. And behind the scenes, the truth was messier. Years of pressure, creative burnout, and a growing disconnect with the label had taken their toll.
It was a tough decision. I wasn't in a good headspace. I had been using, and I don't think I was using at the exact time that I left, but even aside from addiction and stuff, my home life was all messed up. Things were just like the whole thing was, I had to shut something down. I had to stop something because I was just in a pretty bad place.
Adam was tired, not just physically, but emotionally too. The music had become business. He quietly handed in his resignation just before the band's next tour. No farewell show, no final record, just silence.
You know, it wasn't like a sit down and talk about everything. It was like, I'm gone, and I just left, so.
3 Days Grace was left scrambling. With arena dates looming, bassist Brad Walsh called in a favor from someone close. His brother, Matt, who stepped in as a vocalist. It kept the band on the road, but the damage was already done. Online forums exploded. Fans were confused, angry, heartbroken. To many, Adam wasn't just a lead singer. He was 3 Days Grace. His voice had been the soundtrack to breakups, breakdowns, and getting back up again. Without it, the band felt unrecognizable to many. Rumors swirled. Was it a fight? Was it really just burnout? Had something happened behind the scenes? Adam stayed mostly quiet, at least for a while. The rest of the band moved forward, but a fracture had formed, and it wasn't going to heal overnight. The rise was lightning fast. The fall was sudden and quiet, and for a long time it looked like the story was over, but the silence wouldn't last forever. Matt Walsh had already stepped in to help the band finish their tour, but what started as a temporary fix quickly became something more permanent. To be clear, he was no stranger. As Brad's younger brother and the former frontman of My Darkest Days, Matt had grown up around the band.
Matt is, as you may know, Brad, our bass player's younger brother, right? And what a lot of people don't actually know is Matt co-wrote on the first 3 Days Grace album, as well as Transit to Venus, and then obviously he's all over this new one. So he grew up with us, and we all went through the same thing together. And you know, when he showed up at the party with Painkiller, we were just like, okay, yeah, this is on.
With Matt on vocals, 3 Days Grace released Human in 2015. Songs like I Am Machine and Painkiller proved that the band could still hit hard. The sound was razor sharp. The charts responded, and so did the crowds. But something had changed. Matt's voice had power, clean, control, aggressive when it needed to be. But it ached with a different kind of pain. The emotional wounds that had once fueled songs like Never Too Late and Animal I've Become were no longer bleeding on the surface. Some longtime fans respected what the band had become, while others struggled with the change. Because while the anger remained, the vulnerability felt different, more distant. Matt brought strength and kept the band going, but for many it didn't feel the same. But the band kept moving forward. Outsider followed in 2018, and Explosions in 2022. The album saw consistent success, spawning multiple #1 rock singles and proving that 3 Days Grace was still alive and kicking. They'd weathered the loss of their voice, and found a new one in the process. After parting ways in 2013, Adam Gontier had mostly kept his distance from the rest of the band. He had moved on, started new projects, and for years it seemed like the split was final. But then something started to change. He began reconnecting online. It started out quiet and subtle at first, following band members, commenting, showing up on the digital orbit again. Then he started to show up on stage for a few guest performances. These were the kind of moments that sparked hope in longtime fans. And in 2024, that hope became a reality. Adam decided to regroup with his old band. But the best part? Matt was staying too. Instead of returning to the old formula, 3 Days Grace embraced something new. Two frontmen, the voice that defined their past, and the voice that carried them through the aftermath, now side by side. It's a bold move, one almost unheard of in modern rock, and it reshaped the band into something entirely their own. As of now, they've released Mayday and Apologies, two singles that mark the beginning of this new chapter, with an upcoming album titled Alienation on the horizon. It's not just a reunion, but a reinvention. A band with two eras now playing in unison. For the fans, it was a moment no one expected. For the band, it's a second chance to evolve, together. No matter what you think of the band, their influence on rock and pop culture in general is undeniable. For nearly 3 decades, they've weathered loss, reinvention, and criticism. But the position they're in now, it's the most exciting it's been in years. And while these first 3 singles have sparked mixed reactions, the potential of this new album feels much bigger than any one track. All eyes are on them now. And if they rise to the moment, they might just redefine what 3 Days Grace can be. If you made it this far, then you must be one of us. The kind of person who actually feels the music. So you might as well hit subscribe, because I've got some stuff in the works you don't want to miss.